How are you, Niki?
So far, so good. I can't complain.
I'm nervous. Again.
Why are you nervous?
I wanted to ask first that you just signed a new 4-year contract with our team, and one of the comments that I saw reported was that you thought it was the perfect partnership, you and Toto. What makes it so perfect?
That we won the last 3 World Championships in a row, 2 with Hamilton and 1 with Rosberg. And I think in Stuttgart they were aware of this, and then they asked us if we would like to continue. And the reason for me is simple, because when things go well, I get bored and lose attention. But as there's a rule change this year, you might know the tires are completely different. They are wider tires. The cars have different aero designs. The car looks much better, basically. The cars will go 4 seconds a lap quicker. This was one of the targets we wanted to achieve, so for the drivers more difficult. And to make a rule change and then come up to the first race is always very interesting, because there's always a lot of gray areas in rules, and whoever interprets them better will be quicker. So the excitement to come here and find Lewis, thank God, on pole position is a relief, because it could have been the other way around. Everybody expected Red Bull, Newey, very good designer, long in the business, that he will come up with some good ideas. The opposite happened. Red Bull is not as quick as we would have expected them, but the big surprise is Ferrari. We saw this already in Barcelona in the test. They were running as many kilometers as we did, completely reliable and quicker. They were about 4/10 quicker there. So my big worry was here, coming here, where do we stand? Lewis, because of his sensational driving style, got the pole position away from Vettel. Bottas, big surprise to me. I mean, I knew what we were doing, Toto and me. We were after him after Rosberg suddenly left us late in the season, so we could not react. And I have to say what Valtteri did yesterday was outstanding, because he made a little mistake adjusting his engine for qualifying at the right track side, so he would have been 1/10 quicker, and he's third, so he really did a perfect job for the team. I think the same level as Nico would have done.
Yeah.
So the replacement, thank God, we did very well. But the worry I have today is that it's a one-stop race, this I can tell you now. We have to really watch Ferrari, because one thing is different, that the clutch system to start the race is different to the years before. You had some technical assistance by having 2 clutch pedals. One is to find a position, and with the other one you start with 15% wheel spin, then you have the quickest takeoff time. But it's all changed now. It all depends simply on your finger.
Really?
Or on the foot, like on a normal race car. So you will see today various different starts. Some guys will get it right, some guys will get it wrong. And you know, in the beginning, front row, if one does a good start, the half of the race could have been his. So the race starts is going to be interesting, because it's the first one with this new old system. And then we have to see. But it's going to be close today.
So it's pretty hard. Whoever gets the jump at the start, it's going to be very, very difficult to get past them if they're doing everything right.
Back, you can't pass.
Yeah.
This is the other problem we have here.
I was wondering, do you, looking at the cars when you were driving and the cars now, the huge difference in technology, do you ever long for the old days?
No, I would prefer today, because I have power steering, easy change gears, and I would get about 30 times the money.
A good gig. Now, do you ever do any time in the cars yourself? Do you?
No, I don't. No, I leave it to them. It makes no sense, because really you have to be physically fit to drive the cars on the limit, and just to drive them around is boring. So you have to be very fit. So there will be some drivers today which will make mistakes, because the first time Wehrlein cannot drive today because he had a problem where he hurt his neck
Yeah.
in England or wherever it was, no, in America, I think. Then he was fit with the neck, but he realized yesterday that he's not strong enough to drive these new cars now because of more speed through the corners. So in the end of the race, you might see some mistakes of guys because they're not used to it yet. First race is always the most difficult one. So it's going to be very interesting.
How many Gs are they experiencing?
4 to 5 now.
4 to 5.
4 to 5, which is mainly the helmet and the muscles on the neck.
Now, speaking about something that could be a bit stressful, well, certainly for other people in the sport, we saw that Bernie's finally retired. Did you ever think he was going to?
No, Bernie would never. Bernie would never retire. Unfortunately, he got retired by the new ownership, Liberty Media. But I really have to say, we had meetings with them, and things are really going to change because they understand Bernie did a perfect job. I don't really want to criticize him because what he did for Formula One over the last 40 years is outstanding. Nobody could run the business up to that level, what he could achieve. But now there are certain problems around the world. Tickets are expensive to watch a race, for example. The media could be used much better in the paddock, outside of the paddock. Paddock club will be improved. So the Liberty Group picked all these things up. They had a lot of meetings with us, get some information. And I'm sure they're going to bring a new swing into the whole business. And it's much better. I can tell you one simple example. Whenever I wanted this ticket, I had to write an email to Bernie and said, your ex-driver is coming to Australia. Can I have a ticket? Then he had no answer, and then I wrote him again, and then he said, sure, you can have a ticket. And then when I came here, there was no ticket. So
just an invoice.
No, there's no invoice to it. It was just Bernie controlling all the tickets. And this time I thought I'd do nothing. And wait, oh, here was my ticket. I didn't have to do anything. So this is a big change.
With both you and Lewis being triple world champions, the biggest change that you've seen in all that time that's changed the sport the most, what would it be, Niki?
Much safer, there's no question. Over the years, a lot of things was done, and thank God the accidents are nearly down to zero now. And it was, in my time at least, one guy, sometimes two, got killed per year. So this is a hell of a difference, and thank God it goes in the right direction. But the biggest problem we had over the last 2 years, that everybody want to improve safety too much. And then Charlie last year wrote rules for overtaking. And if Verstappen moved to the left, it was forbidden. Then if he moved to the right, it was forbidden. So there were so many rules coming up that the drivers in the end did not know anymore who to ask for what rule. And we had a long discussion with Charlie and the FIA last year to tell them, now we have new cars, they look more aggressive, the tires are wide, everything is good, so leave these guys alone and let them race. And all the rules now are out, which were written last year, and the only rule there is, if it really drives dangerous, which is right, then something will happen. So I think we will see a race here, hopefully where it is never written under investigation on television. I hate this. Yeah, when they say stewards are under investigation, then you look at a race, and then in the end of the race, like in Mexico, you didn't know who is going to go onto the podium, which is completely crazy. So all this kind of over-regulating Formula One, we're trying to stop and let them race like in the old days. They should overtake wherever they want, and watch it. So I think this will also be a new start here in Melbourne.
I did ask you this last year, and I think you might have ducked the question. So I've come back to it because I've wanted to ask that Ayrton Senna is up there as one of the greatest drivers in history. Who else would you put in that group with him? I'd put you in there, but who else would you put in that group with him?
It's a difficult question because Senna was there because I liked him personally very much because he was a very charismatic a personality you don't forget. You know, so there are guys and people you forget. And some are different and some you remember. And Senna was certainly one of them because of his charismatic approach he had to everything. Schumacher, always, forever. One of them, 7 championships, nobody have done this anymore. So they are really, for me personally, out of the past, the ones I really do remember well.
Yeah.
And this is basically, Schumacher never know, we all don't know what's happening with him. Unfortunately, the family is right not to make any comments. This is the way he always wanted to live, so we have to accept that. But I'm thinking a lot about him.
Thank you. If there's one thing, my second last question, that you would change in F1, you touched on over-regulation, but is there something that you'd like to see in the sport that would make it better for the drivers and the fans and the teams?
No, I wouldn't change anything now because all the problems we had, we tried to recover, and therefore we have new cars here. We will have less regulations, and I think when we have a new owner, and if there's a new owner coming in buying a business for 8 billion or whatever, they will certainly think about it. And even when they're Americans, they're different. They will find proper different ways for Formula One. So I think all what we're doing now is very good.
Thank you so much for coming over. We're very honoured to have you here. I know you've got a very, very busy day. Best of luck with the day. Chill, and once again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.